Andrew, open up the podcast for us this time.
Sign us off.
Yeah, get us out of here, Andrew.
That's not my job.
All right, fair enough. This is You'll Never Talk Alone. I'm your friend Joseph Craven, joined by Alex Level, Andrew Ainsworth, here to play our favorite end of the season game, Keep or Sell. This is where we run down the complete Liverpool roster. We try to remember the details of all of the loan deals that exist right now, because we can't keep them straight. And we just kind of discuss what would be the best move for each player at all the positions here. We take it position group by position group. This will be an interesting one, I feel like, because, I mean, what do you do with a roster that just scored one of the highest point totals in Premier League history and won the Champions League? You know, you don't really want to make too many moves probably, but I mean, I am still interested to hear some of the details in terms of maybe some of the backups involved. So first and foremost, Alex, how are you feeling after the United States women's national team won 13-0 today?
Look, it's been a great day. So, I mean, there was that game. We've forgotten all about the Norway U20s 12, Honduras U20s nothing game earlier in the summer. That is a thing of the past. It's all about 13-0 now. I mean, it was a close game. I kind of feel like the Men in Blazers said, the Thai team probably could beat the U.S. men's national team. So I think it was a strong display. And plus my Champions League winners shirts, some of them came in from the LFC store today. So it's just a great day.
I noticed you're not wearing all of them at once like I requested you do.
Well, I'm saving it to tweet out a picture later. And
okay.
I'll, for the listener, it'll be on our Twitter at YNTA Podcast, and you can see which one is me and which one is on Takamaki from Persona 5 wearing all those clothes.
Yep. Man, we make so many references that everyone's going to understand on this podcast. It's wonderful. Wonderful. I think the best comment I saw is someone on social media who I'm in like a group with said, hey, look, don't get me wrong. I'm all about wage equality, but the women's team really deserves to be paid significantly more than the men's team. And I'm not going to disagree. Andrew, how are you tonight?
I'm great. I actually watch more women's team games than the men's team, probably.
Same here.
Only because I know we're going to win usually. It's kind of sad watching the men's team sometimes.
Yeah. You also know who the players are, which is always helpful. With the men's team, half the time they've trot out a lineup, and I'm like, who are some of these people? I don't know any of these names.
I mean, it kind of ruins one of the big U.S. American Outlaw chants that I believe that we will win, just because with the women, like you said, we know we're going to win.
Yeah,
it cuts out most of those lines.
I think all of them.
I just scored a goal myself, apparently, in this game today. So, whoops. All right, gentlemen, the way the game is played here, keep or sell. The first thing we do is we go through position group by position group, and we tried to come up with, first and foremost, there's a few people that we feel like no question, no debate, not even really worth discussing much. But we really need to have a consensus amongst the three of us whenever we come across these players, whether they are a unanimous keep type of player, like no discussion keep type of player. I feel like we need to have we need to all be in agreement for that. I feel like we also could be all in agreement when it comes to some of the youth players or names that we just don't know much about or anything about, that maybe just we don't feel like having too much to say about them in general. Again, we will aim for a consensus whenever we skip any players. All right, without further ado, let's jump straight into the goalkeepers right there, where the heart and soul of the team. If you just had to, try to spout off a number right now, Alex and Andrew, spout off a number. How many goalkeepers do we have on the roster?
4.
Alex, your guess?
Is this including loan players or not?
Oh, yeah. Is this like including loan players?
Total.
Six.
How many goalkeepers do we have total?
I'm saying 6.
Total, including like 18-year-olds, I'm going to say 8.
Okay, well, we have 6 on the first team roster.
There we go.
Impressive.
Yep. 3 on loan, 3 at the club. obviously we know the first name on the sheet, Allison Becker. I feel like this is a pretty safe, no discussion. He's a keep type of guy. I want to nominate him. Any objections?
I'm going to vote for Zach, and Zach would definitely want to sell him.
Right. Zach believes we still need another keeper. No. Allison Becker, how good was he? How valuable was he to this squad? Alex?
He was a 6.
Out of 5?
6.
Okay.
6 out of 6.
6 times.
Yeah.
Absolutely invaluable. I think we all agree, we don't win what we win without this man. So yeah, no discussion here. Let's move along. Let's look at some of the outliers here. We have in particular Camille Grabara, Kayam Keller. I don't actually know how to pronounce that because it's very much a like a Gaelic spelling, and I'm not gonna attempt it. I'll be honest. And then we have Mr. Adam Bogdan.
He was released.
Oh yes, he was released. Thank you. So as of now, we actually only have 5 goalkeepers on the first team sheet. There you go. With those two in particular, do we have anything to say? I'll open the floor here. Alex, you got anything to say?
Loan Grabara again. I have no clue how he did on loan in Denmark, but he's not going to play, so just get him some playing time somewhere else. I think we also signed another young Polish goalkeeper, so loan him too.
Andrew, do you have your Grabara, your Camille Grabara scouting report in front of you? You can tell us how he did on loan.
No clue. I'm going to say just do whatever you want with them. Like, I don't really care. Like, do anything. It doesn't really matter. You're a goalkeeper. Hopefully you work out, but like, we've never had any good prospects there. So we're just going to buy a player eventually.
Yep.
And in 15 years, hopefully.
Right. Yes. Keep Becker until he dies on the pitch, then replace him. I will give Grabara some credit here. I mean, he's only 20 years old. He's like a solid 6'5" or something, right?
Yeah.
He's a tall cat right there. And so, who knows? He could be a pretty solid like youth and eventual backup, just because he has some of the physical tools there and he's young. And as we all know, goalkeepers really start hitting their prime a few years after everyone else does. So not a whole lot to talk about there. We don't know much. We haven't seen much. Never hurts to keep some depth around. I'm going to say keep and loan on both of them. Why not? We didn't say a thing about Keller.
Oh, I was going to bring him up when we were talking about the next keeper.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you know what? Start us off then, Alex. What you got? I want to hear your thoughts now.
Yeah, so Kelleher has been training with the first team all season.
I'm sorry. Hey, real quick. I just pulled up his actual bio on the website, and his name is pronounced Quavine, according to the spelling on here.
What?
Quavine Keller?
That's what it says. So his name is spelled Caomhin, right? And then it says it's pronounced Quivine, Quavine or Quavine.
Okay, I'll start it over again.
Yeah.
So Quaaludes Kelleher has been playing for the first team for the entire season in training. He's been running through the reps. He's been training under Allison. They kind of have the same kind of like shaped head, except he doesn't have the beard yet. So, he's very obviously the understudy. And it's time to sell Mignolet. Full credit to him this season. He didn't really get to play much because we played 2 cup games domestically, and he was not going to play in the Champions League. But his attitude has been like unquestionably good. He's clearly been a beneficial part of the dressing room, and he gets a medal. Good for him. He gets to bow out with something great for us. But he's probably good enough to play somewhere else. He's definitely good enough to start somewhere else, and we should let him do that because he used to start for a top team in the league. So I don't know. He's not going to play here, but we owe it to him just for not throwing a fit, even though he wasn't that great of a goalkeeper for us. Let's just let him go on his way and get some money off of him and put Queequeg in as a second choice.
Hey, look, and I mean, for the record, we're not trying to be like jerks or anything here. Obviously, none of us are Irish. None of us are familiar with Irish Gaelic. We're idiots. This is a fascinating name. If anyone actually like can pronounce it properly for us, let us know. I'm listening.
Yeah, and please don't take like you said, Joseph. Please don't take it the wrong way. I'm just dumb and I refuse to believe that's how syllables sound.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know.
Not sure where the V came from there. That's really the question.
That's what's throwing me off. This it's really just like the pronunciation key on the website is like very unhelpful. It just is not. It's not doing any favors anyway. All right, let's move on from that, Andrew. Moving on from pronunciations.
I've got a quick question. Podcast. Did we let Karius go after his loan?
No, his loan is a 2-year loan.
Oh, it's a 2-year loan. Okay.
Yeah, so he's got another year where he's technically still on loan. And so, Andrew, give me your thoughts on Mignolet real quick, and then I have like a hypothetical question for the two of you.
I'm fine with him leaving. I'm fine with him staying around, I guess, as long as Becker stays healthy. He could be the third choice. He's got a great attitude. He seems happy, but he's better than being a backup for even if it's a great team. He could start for another team and make more money and show his skill rather than, like Alex said, only playing 2 games.
So the general consensus seems to be let Miggs go, let him get some chance to be the guy somewhere else, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. We could get a little money for him too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Alex, you seem to go ahead and say that you feel like Keller would be should be our backup guy in this situation. If we didn't go and try to buy like a veteran backup, because I feel like that's always something out there. We're not, but anyway, let me just throw this out here. Let's just say that we did not have that our only backup options were Mignolet or Loris Karius. Okay, who would you feel more comfortable with as a backup if you had to choose between those two?
It's hard to say because it's not like the backup keeper is going to play very much, so he's not really needed. And if we had to turn to it, I don't know. I guess Mignolet, just because it would just be so toxic for Karius to be at the club, not because he's a disturbance or anything like that, but because we have a great fan base, but we also have some idiots in our fan base, and they would just never let him forget, and the British press would never let him forget. And it's just best that everyone move beyond the errors that happen, and him not being at the club is probably what's best for everyone. So I guess I'd be more okay with Mignolet, even though like he's not the best keeper, but it'd be better for everyone involved.
I'd have to agree with that. I mean, Miggs, I think it's just recency bias, really. Like Miggs hasn't really played, and Karius has been playing in Turkey, and he has looked decent a lot of the season. I mean, he was a decent goalkeeper, but he still had a few howlers there where you couldn't believe that he would let some in goal. So I'd just rather have a guy that like I can't remember if he's gonna have a terrible game, or a guy that I know he's gonna have some bad games.
All right, thank you both for some good insight. That's really what I was curious about. It seems like we don't have that situation going on. We don't have we don't feel like we have to rely on either of them to be a backup at this point in time. We feel very secure in Alisson, and if we need to rest him, we could probably, like I said, find some sort of veteran who's pretty reliable but doesn't feel the need to be a first teamer and bring him in. We'll see if that happens or not, though. But all right, I believe that does it then for the goalkeepers. Now knowing that Adam Bogdan has been released, and may he rest in peace. We're gonna move on to. You guys want to do fullbacks or center backs now?
Start with fullbacks.
All right, we're going to start with fullbacks. All right, obviously there's not a whole lot of names in the fullback list. We do. You know what? We should take a moment now that since we're hitting the first of our expiring contract former first teamers in Alberto Moreno. Let's take a moment and express gratitude to Alberto Moreno and Daniel Sturridge for their contributions to the growth of the team, to the team becoming what it is today. I mean, they helped lay down the foundation. Love them or hate them, good times and bad. They helped lay down the foundation for them. I feel like Sturridge has given us more memories than Moreno's. Alex, what's like a memory of, I guess specifically Sturridge, because it's easier to remember goals and everything. But
Yeah.
Alex, when you look back on these two guys, and I guess, I mean, what pops into your head? What do you think about?
And don't name the one Moreno thing, because I don't know anything else.
Well, I'll let you go first, because I wanted to say something about that, because it's kind of poetic, the one thing that he did.
Okay, you got it. I'll let you go. It sounds a lot better than what I was going to say, but I'll never forget.
He scored. I mean, he had a great debut goal against Spurs, and it's really fitting that his last contribution was leading the party after beating Spurs in the Champions League final. You could see in the locker room celebrations that he's still popular within the dressing room, and maybe he did not develop at all like we thought he was going to when he signed, but pretty much no one did that was brought in that summer after the 13-14 season. So I don't kind of feel bad that it went so wrong for him, but at the same time, another player who gets to go out on a high after some rough years and was clearly valued as a friend to everyone on the team, and can't imagine what he was going through that day after losing his friend and then winning the Champions League. So good luck to him. And I won't hog the Sturridge stuff, but what a player. One of my favorite to ever play for the club. Just so many great memories.
Andrew?
Wow. One of your favorite to ever play for the club. That's a big statement for Alberto Moreno, really.
No, for Sturridge.
Oh. I thought you were, wow. Alex really loves Alberto Moreno. One of the best ever.
He's hidden it so well over the years. I had no idea.
Y'all haven't seen my collection of Alberto.m jerseys that I have in my room?
Okay. Moreno will never forget. Never forget. Sturridge, what can I say? Really dropped off a cliff there for a little bit, but if you take out, really 2.5 years, 3.5 years of his time at Liverpool, one of the best players that we've had play on the team ever. That 13-14 season along with Suarez, which it does highlight a little bit what Suarez can do, but it also highlights how great of a player Daniel Sturridge was with a healthy body. He was active. He wasn't walking around the pitch. He was a very valuable player for us that season, and we wouldn't have been close to coming in second. More than, I can't remember the exact stats, but more than 20 goals that year, a handful of assists. So kudos to Sturridge. Definitely gonna miss him. Gonna miss him in the locker room. Gonna miss the dance.
Oh yeah,
that dance is just iconic. But I'm excited to see Origi flourish and bring in another forward with him being the one that leaves.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the pairing with Suarez, and I'm always going to remember how this is a great attacking group that we have right now in Mane, Salah, Firmino. Obviously, they're incredible. They are incredible. But that particular SAS run, that one season, it was almost, I don't know. It's almost like you never saw them ever take any time off. Like we've mentioned before, how Salah kind of ended the season not at his best. Mane kind of started the season not at his best, and then rebounded. I don't know. It just seemed like for that entire year, it was like lightning in a bottle. Sturridge and Suarez together, just nonstop, goal after goal after goal after goal. That's what I'm always going to remember. I'm going to remember how thrilling that season was.
And Sturridge scored one of the great forgotten goals in our recent history. I mean, that goal that he scored in the Europa League final was ridiculous. Like the outside of the foot bend on that into the back post. That was an insane finish. And it sucks that the second half unfolded like it did, because that would have been that goal would have been sung about for years because it was just so good. And it was so Daniel Sturridge. It's like, oh, what's about to happen here? He can shoot it from here, and you're not going to think like, what the hell are you doing? Because he has that ability when his legs work to pull something out of a hat. And we saw that this year against Chelsea with that magical strike.
Well, we will be very grateful to those guys as they leave the club. As I said before, I mean, they helped lay the foundation, and maybe they were not the guys that necessarily took the team to the promised land, but they were invaluable to the process. That's something that I think gets lost a lot of times when you look back on like the growth of a sports team. You kind of tend to forget the guys that had to be there to get you to the successful years. And those are two guys in particular I think really will stand out as, they weren't perfect. Sometimes they were flat out bad, but, they were necessary. And you got to be very grateful for them for everything they've done. All right, looking at the fullback position with Moreno gone, it really only leaves us with, you've got Andy and Trent
with three people.
Yeah, who's the third here?
Klein, technically.
Oh, that's right. Yes, thank you, Klein. Technically, feel like again we could throw up the nominations of no reason to say anything about Andy and Trent in terms of whether we keep or sell, because we have to. We have no one else.
Yeah.
But they in particular, though, of course, had phenomenal seasons, phenomenal season. This year really were the catalyst for a lot of the attack. We played a lot through the wings. It was evident there. What do we do though about Nathaniel Klein? It kind of seems like because he's not officially out the door, right? That deal was still technically a loan, but
yeah.
Alex, what do we do with him here?
I think there's a market for him, and we definitely sell him. He's clearly not in the plans at all. When we had an injury crisis and we still loaned him out, there didn't seem to be any attempts to say, hey, we have no one else. Can we keep him for one more game? We sent him out. He's not going to play. And we are at a level now where he has also been struggling with injuries, and he's not the player that he was when he first came over, when he used to be one of the most reliable players on the entire team. So it's pretty sad what injuries have done to his career, not his acting career. That has sprung up in the time that he's been recovering. But I wish him well, but he's not good enough anymore. So let's sell him, get some money for him, and invest it in some better cover.
Andrew, any disagreement there?
Not at all. He's still good enough to be like a lower mid-table. He could play for a good team. He's just not up to our standards, and he definitely can attack, and that's what we need. So yeah. He's a great defender.
Yeah, his first season that you mentioned, Alex, where he came in and was Mr. Reliable, and we just always knew we could count on him. That was, I think, another one of those foundational seasons. Like, we had to have him there to hold things down until Trent was ready to take over. I think that's really invaluable. But yeah, there's no reason to keep him. He doesn't fit what we need out of a fullback. We badly need some sort of fullback cover, and it is not Nathaniel Klein.
No.
So pretty much a consensus across the board here to move him along. It'd be for the better of his career even. All right, how about the four center backs that we have in that main four center back rotation? Seems like Virgil van Dijk, we can all agree, is a unanimous keeper no question. Do we have a consensus here on that one?
Sell him.
What has he ever done for us?
I knew I could count on you guys. So Verge, maybe the reason we won anything this year, probably our most valuable player that we've had on the team in years, incredible year. Just can't speak enough about his value. What about his running mates, though? You got Dejan Lovren, you got Joe Gomez, you got Joel Matip. All had moments in the past since Virgil van Dijk has arrived. All had moments of pairing up with him. All had moments of being on the pitch, some good times, some rough times, some injuries, so on and so forth. Those three guys here. What do you want to see done there, Alex? I'll start with you again. With Lovren, Gomez, Matip.
Well, Matip is going to get moved to that attacking midfield role because he is an incredible dribbler, and we need a player in that position. So he's not really a center back anymore. He is an elegant ball carrier.
Do you remember when we bought him, and one of the things we noted was that he had actually been playing some like defensive mid a little bit?
Yeah.
Just drew a blank on the club.
Schalke,
thank you. Before coming over, apparently he's like trying to audition to do that again. What is he doing?
But without him in the second half of the season, we don't win the Champions League. So he has more than proven his worth. There was the age-old argument that I know we bring up a lot, that the selling point of Matip was that he wasn't Lovren, and the selling point of Lovren was that he wasn't Matip. But Matip has clearly proven himself to be the better player, so I think he's earned his spot to be, as things stand right now, are battling for that starting partnership spot, second or third name on the center back hierarchy. I mean, Joe Gomez did well in the Nations League game against Switzerland. He's coming back from injury. He should start the preseason and season well. He's got so much potential. He was amazing in the first half of the season. It's easy to forget that because he's been out for so long, but definitely keep him. One thing we definitely don't want to see ever again is him playing at one of the fullback positions. Cannot stress that enough. That has to end. He's a center back. And as for Lovren, like I hate saying this weirdly because he's just a great person and he does so much for the culture of the club, but like I just said, he's the worst of our center backs right now. So I would still be looking to sell him. I don't think it's going to happen, but rumors of Milan being interested today. So he's not up to the level performance wise, or maybe just give him a job at the front office or something to keep everybody happy. But I would be looking to sell him player wise.
Andrew, what do you got?
I'd agree with Alex on two of the three. I think Lovren, while he is the worst of the four, I think he can fill that spot as a fourth choice. He's not amazing, but he's also a fourth choice. Like, we got to get pretty far down the totem pole to get to him. So I'm fine with keeping him. He keeps Mo happy. He's good friends with a lot of the players. He also he's a monster. he loves to just like.
It's 8:56.
Uh-huh.
He loves to be the guy that just no one else likes from any other team, which is kind of fun. So I'm fine with that. We've got plenty of other places, or not plenty, but we've got other positions that need some upgrading or need some backup there. Like we were saying, the fullbacks, there's only two of them. We could buy, two more on each side to get to the point where we would be with Lovren at the center back position.
I actually I'm gonna say that I really do think that we need to keep Lovren because of the intangibles that he brings. He does seem to be a good locker room guy. He does have a good relationship with most of his teammates. Exactly what you're saying, Andrew. It would take quite a bit in order for him to have to be on the pitch. But I do feel like even then, I feel like Virgil van Dijk, as long as he's paired with Verge, I feel better about it than I ever have about Lovren in the past. there's something to be said about the consistency and not shaking things up unnecessarily in terms of getting rid of him now that he does have some sort of value to the team that he could never really give on the pitch, but he's giving off the pitch in his attitude, in his locker room presence. So I think it's kind of important to keep him, actually. So, which I've said for years to sell him at all times. Middle of the season, I've said sell him. Middle of a match, I've said we should sell him in the middle of a match to the team we're playing against. A better chance of winning. At this point in time, though, I kind of feel like he's got a value there. It's kind of an intangible thing, and I think we should hold on to that. So,
sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
We also have to remember that like we just won the Champions League, so we're gonna be high on like every player because right now, like the team, everyone's happy, everyone's getting along. Like, kind of got to see what it looks like when there's a bad spot to see like which players are acting out, which players are having bad games. Right now, we're literally just remembering like an amazing season. We aren't thinking about other parts, but I guess with Van Dijk, it doesn't really matter that much.
Right. I think part of it also, is the fact that we don't have a whole lot. We've got a solid three that we feel comfortable with in Van Dijk, Matip, and Gomez. And we don't have a whole lot else. So it's kind of like, well, I don't want to unnecessarily get rid of Lovren. Maybe he never plays, but that's okay. It's still there. It's also kind of that situation of just like, we don't have anyone else yet. And this is not a who are we buying this summer episode. This is a keep or sell who we have currently episode. So I feel like that's important to keep him there. There is one other center back that is one of those falls in the category of what do we actually know about him sort of players. That is Nathaniel Phillips. An interesting one because he actually has been the U23 captain and has regularly been training with the first team squad. Alex, do you think there's any chance that Phillips sees the bench as like a depth guy? Is that kind of what this has been preparing him for? Or is he a guy that we had around for a little bit and feel comfortable ditching?
Oh, no, there's no chance he ever plays for the first team apart from during the International Champions Cup, which I think is the only time I've ever seen him play. I think he picked up an injury during the season, so that held him back even further.
He had a back injury in 17-18 that also messed up his development a little bit.
Yeah, so it's been a bit unfortunate for him. I think the first team stuff is he's one of the older guys, I think, on the U23s, if I'm not mistaken. I doubt they would make a younger guy captain, but it's probably just getting him ready for playing with professionals and full-grown adults in the eventuality that we do sell him, which will probably happen before too long. But good for him. He got to party with everybody for the celebrations. So
yeah,
he have fun.
All right, let's. I guess that's the last of the center backs, correct? There's no one that we had out on loan. I'm not overlooking anyone, so I feel like we could move on to some midfield here. Let's go ahead and throw out the names. I want to hear your nominees for no discussion keepers in the midfield. I feel like in particular, we can say Fabinho's proven himself pretty worthy. The captain, Jordan Henderson, may be in there. Alex, give me your nominations for who you think we don't even need to discuss in the entirety of the midfield.
Weirdly, it's pretty much everybody. Everybody's staying. Everybody's played their part. Everybody's shown why they're on this team and why they deserve to be in the conversation for starting week in, week out. So This is the one area that we can and did rotate throughout the season. But everyone stepped up. So I'm weirdly anticipating all of them being keep, except for maybe a few fringe players. So we'll probably get to those in a second. But all the main guys that played.
Andrew, who you got in your no discussion category in the midfield?
Just James Milner.
Right.
Everyone else is up for grabs.
Sure.
You got to have an engine, so you can sell everyone else.
It makes sense. The argument checks out.
We could get rid of, I don't know, Lallana. We could get rid of, The younger guys, sure, I guess. Like we can pull Joel Matip up to midfield.
All right,
Yeah,
so
great midfield. We can rotate. We're good. Like no need to do too much. No need to shake it up. We could bring in another attacking midfielder just to be able to, if someone can play across the wing or across the front, send off Adam Lallana, take that role.
So you're basically saying that Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Milner, Keita, Hendo, Ox, Shaqiri, all of those, you're saying no question, hang on to everyone.
Hang on to everyone. Yeah.
Yep.
Why sell them?
Yeah. Alex, you're saying the same thing with that whole crew?
Yep.
Interesting stuff. It seems rare that we would be talking about the midfield in such good light after a few seasons in which we're always just like, oh, the midfield's so inconsistent. We have the right crew and we have rotation and depth, which is invaluable. The only players, I would say bye Adam Lallana. He doesn't seem to have any use on this squad. You got to hang on to, no matter, doesn't matter how old he gets. It kind of feels like you kind of have to hang on to James Milner, partly because, he is he's still been good for 30 minutes a match, as that sub. He also is just probably only has a few more years left anyway. Just letting the man retire a red, I guess. Yeah. He might not actually, play much in the next few seasons. His minutes might start to dwindle more and more, but he doesn't really seem to be slowing down that much. I do wonder if there's any value in if we have the opportunity to maybe shop somebody now I don't want to say shop Ox. There's part of me that does kind of say maybe we want to shop Ox around a little bit. But I think because he was hurt, we still don't really know his value to the team. And he had come in and he'd fit in well. And I guess I might be prone to agree with you guys on all of these names. Keep just about everybody. Probably move Lallana. How about the young guys we still actually have sitting around here? I see Curtis Jones. I don't know what the expectations are out of Curtis. He's quite young, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he just turned 18. Maybe.
Yeah, he's quite young. I think he's supposed to be maybe a little bit more of a holding midfielder in his role. Again, don't know much about the youth. Ben Woodburn is in particular a name that we were really excited about for a little bit and then know nothing about now. These young guys in the midfield, Alex, do you see any of them making an impact or not making an impact? Sorry. Do you see any of them just in the future?
It's so hard to say because we haven't really brought through many youth players in a long time. And I'm definitely one of those people that loves to get excited about youth prospects. You never know what's going to happen. Ben Woodburn was the guy, and he earned a call up to the Wales national team and scored his first Wales national team goal very, very young. And it has just all gone completely off a cliff for him since then.
Was he even 17 when all that happened? Wasn't he 16 or something like that?
I think he scored his first LFC goal and his first Wales goal immediately after his 17th birthday, within days. Don't quote me on that, but I think he was 17.
Too late. I tweeted it, tagged you in it.
And it's just one of those situations. Woodburn, I feel like he would benefit more from a loan because he just hasn't played here. We kind of have seen what he's about, and it just hasn't broken its way into the first team. Curtis Jones, this is one of those questions where is it better for him to stay and train with all these big names and super great players or go out on loan and play somewhere else, first team over and over again? At this point, he got a whole season of training with the first team. It might be time to let him go test the waters of starting, whether that's in the championship or somewhere abroad. But it wouldn't be a bother either way if we kept or loaned him, but we definitely shouldn't sell him because he's a local prospect. Mm-hmm. It would be great to have him break through to the team. And now that I'm thinking about it, we did skip one person for fullback cover. Kiana Hoover, who just won the 17s with the Netherlands. I think he's a fantastic prospect. He scored a ridiculous goal in that tournament. He is definitely a future first team cover, but he's still just a little kid. I don't think he's ready for first team, but he would be one to let him.
Not even listed on the team website. That's why I missed him.
Yeah. So he would be one where it would absolutely be a great thing for him to keep training with the first team because he is still so young.
We're talking about youth and all that, and we always have this discussion, as you said, Alex, of man, I'd like to see some of the youth get in here. I mean, besides the Trent, who have we seen come up through our youth ranks in the past few years? Anyone?
Jay Spearing.
Jay Spearing, of course.
Then it was all during those kind of lean-ish years after the 08-09 title challenge, and then as things were getting further and further down the hill, that was when actually some of them got to play. So yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it really has. Real quick, if we bring up guys like, because we haven't mentioned Marko Grujic yet, but if we bring up guys like, for example, Harry Wilson, he's more of a forward, correct?
Yeah.
All right. He and Kent.
Yeah, Kent's a forward.
Okay. All right, cool. I feel like those are ones that will be kind of a bit of a discussion point, because it's kind of like, what do we do with these guys that are right in between at this point? So
yeah, we could even talk about them after the forwards because they're their own separate category.
I'm fine with that. Those two, Brewster. I feel like Ryan Brewster gets thrown in there as well.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. There are a couple other midfield names out there that I think at this point maybe just kind of on the way out by way of necessity, of just like they maybe are missing their window of being a part of this squad at all. Ovi Ajaria, Pedro Chiravella, for example. But then you have someone along like Marko Grujic, who has spent the past, where was he this past season?
Hertha Berlin.
Hertha Berlin, thank you. He'd been in Berlin the past season. As far as I can tell, seemed to do pretty well for him. Alex, you know a little bit more. What's up with Grujic these days?
He had a great season. He was one of the revelations of the Bundesliga this year, and the Hertha fans love him. The team loves him. They want him back for another year. I mean, there's been reported interest from Atletico Madrid. So he has done really well. He's gotten to play more of his role. I know he had been kind of deployed deeper in midfield for us because he was so huge, but he is more of that box-to-box and attacking midfielder. And I can't remember who exactly it was against. It might have been Wolfsburg or something. There was a home game where Hertha scored this just ridiculous counterattack goal with like 15 passes, and he built it up through the midfields with a couple back heels with some of his other teammates, and then finished it off in the box. And it was one of the best goals that I saw in the Bundesliga all year. So he came on in leaps and bounds, and it's going to be interesting to see if we give him a chance or keep him out on loan there, because we know he will start there and play a lot and continue to develop, or if we cash in.
What's your opinion on it?
I think we send him back out on loan to Hertha again, unless there is a team with European football this year in Germany, then we would move him up to one of those teams.
Andrew, what's your take on someone like Grujic? Is he someone you think we could have some use for, or cash out while he's got some value?
I don't know that we really need to fill his position. He's only 23, so we can send him out another year, give him a chance. Would love to see him maybe like in the U.S. tour this summer, get some time, really see how he plays, and then assess him at that point. But it doesn't hurt to send him out again if we need to. And there's no real reason to sell. We don't need the funds right now.
Yeah, exactly. We're in a good spot. My views on Marko Grujic have been well publicized on the podcast. I have a weakness for rangy, tall, box-to-box midfielders. And that is exactly who he is. I would love to see him get a little bit more experience, and then maybe come in as a experience out on loan, and then maybe come in as, like a James Milner off the bench replacement, do everything midfielder in a year or so. I like him. I'd like to keep him around. There's some kind of weird in-between-esque players that we will end up talking about in a little bit here because we're not sure where they fit, but we also have some, I feel like they might have some weird talking points about them. But let's look at the forwards real quick. Obviously, we've got the big three, Roberto Firmino, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah. Any of those guys, you feel like, do you have any discussion involving them? Or is this one of those, they're working so well right now, we have to hold on to them, no question sort of situations, Alex?
Yeah, keep them at all costs, build them statues, give them whatever they want. They're amazing. I love them all. And just remember, we're really stupid. Like, clearly the two academy players that came through that we couldn't think of because they're huge players now, Raheem Sterling and Suso. Those are two that we overlooked.
Oh, man.
It just came to me as I was answering that question.
Oh, gosh. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the question also could have been, what academy players have we had that actually made an impact for us?
Yeah.
Man, freaking Suso. Anyway, Andrew, between those big three and the forwards, you got any thoughts you need to add in?
No, do everything you need to do to keep them. I'm not sure that we could actually do any better right now with the way they fit together and their roles and how they play.
It's so perfect.
I don't know if there's anyone in the world, bar like Messi, that we could actually bring in and like definitely upgrade this front three. Not because they would be the best players on other teams. Yes, they could be, but also just the way they play together and how close they are and how well they know how the others play. There's no reason to ever let them go.
You heard it here first, guys. Andrew believes that we can bring in Messi this summer. That's what he said then, right? Yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
Exactly.
Ronaldo.
All right, let me throw it right back to you then, Andrew, because there are two forwards that are there that we need to discuss. Obviously, the super sub of the year, Divock Origi, and then the youngster who a lot of promise, not a lot of playing time, Ryan Brewster. Andrew, your thoughts on those two? Keep or sell?
You have to keep Origi. You can't let him go. That's a weird thing to say because, like 6 weeks ago, maybe I guess longer because the Champions League was so the final was so far out. But 6 weeks ago, I wouldn't have said keep Origi. Like I would have said sell him, whatever. Like he's had some good times, and then Barcelona and Tottenham happened, and now he is staying and getting a contract extension and a pay raise for basically playing like a good, 200 minutes. And then for Brewster, like you want to see him go out, you want to see him get some time. I think it's invaluable being with these players though, and he's got that crew with Ox, where he's spending time with the older, the senior players and really learning what it means to be a professional. So I don't hate him staying. Would like to see him get more playing time, but with Sturridge gone, we might sign another forward, a couple more, but Brewster could still get more time just by playing in some of the cups.
Alex?
Yep. It's really funny, like that Divock Origi has a video on the LFC YouTube page now that's like, watch all of Divock Origi's goals from this past season. And it's a goal against Everton. It's a goal against Wolves in the Cup. It's a goal against Watford. It's a goal against Newcastle. And then it's 2 versus Barcelona and 1 versus Spurs. Those are it. And they're all amazing. And I love him. And football without Origi is nothing. And he has to stay. And I mean, full credit to him. He worked his way back into the team. And I know we brought it up previously that on his season at Wolfsburg, he was on like L'Equipe's worst 11 in Europe for being so bad. And he has turned his career around, around. His career has just been spinning in circles. Like it's been bad, good, injured, bad, good. Like fair play to him for working hard and adding more to his game, I guess. Like it was always there. His link-up play was pretty good throughout. I remember clearly in that amazing comeback versus Dortmund, he was huge in that because he was linking up with the midfield. So he's earned the right to stay and be considered cover for our front three. And Brewster, so much potential, coming off a big injury, still just a little kid. Definitely keep him around to learn from his buddies and amazing pros, because there's a lot of potential there.
We've got to find a good loan deal for Brewster, I think. Like, we've got to find a good one where, it's he gets playing time, but it's not like bottom of the barrel type of competition, maybe. I think he's got loads of potential. I'm very curious to see what happens there. I'm going to be honest with you guys, though. I wouldn't mind selling Origi. I know this brands me as a criminal now for even saying it, but
where's the mute button?
That's fair. No, but because his value is not going to get any higher than it is right now. And I know we don't need cash at all. But his value is not going to get any higher than it is right now. And he's proven that he's able to do, make some impact, do some impact moves. He hasn't proven necessarily he can do it consistently. And so I feel like this next season is going to be a big gamble with Divock Origi, as far as what we actually get from him. So that's why I'm going to, just to be different, I'm going to say sell him. I don't mind either way, but just to be different, for the record, I'm going to say sell him. If we keep him and he ends up not being that great of a backup, whatever. He had this season and that was worth it. But that's going to be my differing opinion. There you go.
I think there's something to say for, like, he had the chance to leave. Klopp gave him the chance, and he said, no, I'm going to stay and work my way in. And Klopp saw that and said, okay, and gave him chances. It's not like he said, I want to stay, and didn't try, and Klopp didn't think that there was something there. He brought him in against Barcelona in the Champions League. When you have Daniel Sturridge, who might not be the most fit player, he might not be the player that you want, in this lineup always, but he started over Daniel Sturridge in those games. So Klopp saw something, and I'm going to trust him there.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And let's not also, forget that he brings a completely different style than Roberto Firmino brings, which is, I think, very important, because while Bobby does such a good, the constant pressing forward, and all of that, Divock is not like that. And that change of pace can really throw a team off from their preparation when they've really prepared specifically for Roberto Firmino and not for Divock Origi. So there's a lot to be said about that as well. But like I said, I got to be different. That's me being different.
Well, and it's so rare that you have a sub in one season specifically that comes in and scores so many big goals.
Right.
After not playing for 6 months. And like when he came on in the derby, I think we all sarcastically said, yes, here comes Origi to save the day. And he did it. And then it happened again v Newcastle, and it happened again v Barcelona, and it happened again in Spurs. Like there's something about him. Like he doesn't let the pressure get to him, as you can tell by his celebrations, where he looks like he just scored like a tap in on a game in the park. But he doesn't let the occasion get to him, and he just focuses on what he needs to do, and he scores all different types of goals. A lot of goals that I've never seen scored before, mostly that one against Everton. So, I mean, fair play to him for having this great, weird skill set.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that for sure. And real quick, as we jump, into this final little section here, do want to give a little shout out, because he is technically listed on the website, even though his move will be made permanent at the end of this month. But shout out to Danny Ings for what will hopefully be a good rest of his career, free of injury. Really, really heartbroken for how unfortunate the man has been in his time here at Liverpool, because I really, really thought that he was going to be I thought he was going to be everything that Divock had done this season. I thought Danny Ings was going to be our second striker, come in, super sub off the bench, that sort of thing. And just heartbroken that his career, played out the way it did here for Liverpool. Wish him the best moving forward. Pour one out for Danny Ings. So this final little group that we've got is kind of this weird in between station of life sort of group. Like they're not 16-year-olds anymore, but they're also just not quite proven enough, experienced enough maybe, to be in this first team lineup, at least not so far. But they also have been promising at different times. And that's kind of this trio here of Ryan Kent, Harry Wilson, Andrew's favorite player in the world, and my favorite player in the world, Oluwaseyi Babajide Ojo. Those three guys are guys that, Wilson was just slinging goals around this season. Ojo even actually, saw some playing time with the first team, 2 seasons ago, in some cup matches in particular. These guys that are kind of mid/wingers. That's why it's kind of hard to figure out where they fit in the lineup here. These three here, Alex, what are your thoughts on these guys in particular?
Yeah, they're so hard to place. I think it's been confirmed this week that Ojo is going on loan to Rangers. Nice. I think if Kent is leaving, Ojo is going to replace him. So that's probably what's best for him right now. He's definitely not going to play. He's definitely not really going to make the bench very often. Unless he develops a lot, he's not going to have a first-team future. I don't think he played very much for Rom. I don't know exactly how to say it properly. It looks like Reims, R-E-I-M-S, Rom in France. So this is probably a better move for him. Smaller league, should get more playing time. Got Steven Gerrard up there. It worked wonders for Kent this season. Kent, by all accounts, had a fantastic season for Rangers, was a fan favorite, got into some trouble in the Old Firm derby, but other than that, scored some big goals for them. I think scored a winner in one of those matches. So he's done well. We should probably sell him, or he's another one. He's not good enough for this team, but he could get us some money and I bet he could probably play for some lower half team in the Premier League. He's quick. He's got an eye for goal. And by all accounts, he's a pretty good player. But our team can't really take any pretty good players because we're a very, very good team. We're the champions of Europe. So I expect him to be sold. And the most difficult one's probably Wilson. He made the Guardians team of the championship this year, scoring goals left and right, starting for Wales. He's a really good player. And
a lot of people calling him the next Ben Woodburn. So
for his sake, I really hope they aren't. But I hate to say it, but I think we'll sell him. Like you said with Divock, right now, even though he's still pretty young, this is the highest his value has ever been. And he is good enough to play for a lot of other teams in this league or in other leagues. And we could probably let him do that. And we don't, he was really good. We don't really know how good he is, though. It was the championship. It has been youth teams. And it's a whole different level and a whole different type of tactical setup, much more detailed in a team like ours. And I'm sure we'll see him have a chance in preseason, but I'm anticipating us cashing in on him and bringing in someone who is demonstrably better, which will be sad, but he's a good player and wish him luck and would love to see him succeed with us, but just don't think it'll happen.
Did you guys know that Ryan Kent on FIFA has 98 sprint speed?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's just absurd that they all of his skills have him at high 60s, I think, as far as an overall rating goes. And then it's just you get to sprint speed and it's 98. So anyway, Andrew, those three, what are your thoughts?
I'm really just gonna hit on Harry Wilson because the other two, whatever.
Because you would like to in person actually hit on Harry Wilson.
Yeah, I would. I would do anything. No, I'm just kidding. Love Harry Wilson. Love Darby. Don't love Darby. I'm not lying. I like Darby. I like to watch some of their games. Harry Wilson was great for them this season. He's up for EFL Young Player of the Year. He was on the EA Young Player team. I think it was 5 months in a row or something. October through February, he had the Darby goal of the month. So he's not just scoring goals, he's scoring great goals for them. And that's something that we could use out of the midfield. I'd love to see him get a chance. I think, he's matured a lot in the last year with Darby, and he deserves a chance. Now, I could easily see selling him. I would be a little disappointed if we sold him, but at the same time, I get it, and I think he's got the chance to go to some great teams. Saw there's a rumor with Red Bull Leipzig, and that's a huge team with a lot of quality, and they do things right, and he could have a great chance to become a great player there. Where at Liverpool, you don't really know. So I really like him as a player. So I want to see him succeed, whether or not that's at Liverpool. I would just like it more if it was at Liverpool.
I feel like Alex probably summed up most of my thoughts on these guys in terms of how they all have they have a particular amount of value to them, and this might be the proper time to move them along to where they will be more successful. And it not be at Liverpool, because I just feel like they're just not quite at the level that we want them to be in order to be depth players for us. That being said, I mean, what have we got to lose by holding on to a Ryan Kent or a Harry Wilson on the wings in case there is an injury that happens to one of our wing players? There is that aspect of it there. I mean, look, we brought in the last two guys that we brought in who kind of fit the attacking mid/wing backup role in Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Xherdan Shaqiri. Both had injuries that happened to them. And so I feel like these are players we're talking about here that could have that opportunity to be an injury cover third choice. But the question is that the right move for them? Is that what's best for the team and for their career, just to have them be like that? So Alex, you look like you got something on your mind.
Oh, well, I was just looking it up because when you mentioned Ryan Kent's stats on FIFA, I just looked up both him and Harry Wilson on FIFA and like what their stats were and what their potential were. Because it's not the best gauge, but they do spend a lot of time researching those players and try to make more of an educated guess. And surprisingly, their potential is only 1 point off. They have Kent getting up to an 84 and Wilson getting up to an 85 in career mode, which I thought was really interesting because I was like, wow, surprised they rate Ryan Kent that highly. And I haven't really seen much of him play, but I know he's got some raw ability, but I don't necessarily know if he's like a future, like really solid Premier League player like that. But like you said, there's not much to lose, but I also think that if we're going to mount another title challenge, what it's going to take is ability to rotate in the back line kind of and up front for sure, where it doesn't necessarily have to be those same three, but the quality can't drop. It has to be that level for whoever's playing up there. And I don't necessarily know if Wilson and Kent can provide that. I would love to see it happen because it'd be great to have youth players coming through, but we could get quite a bit of money for both of them and bring in someone really good. So I think we'll probably do that, but it wouldn't like piss me off if they rocked up and we saw them wearing weird numbers and playing.
I feel like they're our best bet at having these guys that like actually come up from the youth team into the, first team, and that, we never see it happen. These are the guys that maybe can do it. That'd be a lot of fun. I do want to point out one thing that is interesting that I noted here on Ojo's bio is that right before he went on loan, he actually had just signed a contract extension and then went on loan there, which could mean that it's another loan year, see how he does, see whether he'd actually be a backup, make a decision on him next season thing lying ahead here for him, which I'm not mad at. He had a lot of physical tools. He was very, quick, agile, but didn't necessarily show a lot of like the control and stuff on the wings. I think that's what he has had to work on. And maybe that's what we're waiting to see if he actually has it in him there. But yeah, those are three guys in particular that I'd love to see get a chance, kind of selfishly being a guy that loves it when someone comes up from the youth program and or not from the youth program necessarily, but from like the, U21 teams and all into that. I would just love to see that sort of thing happen. That being said, Harry Wilson probably did well enough here where a team would want to make a bid on him. And I think we probably should accept the bid, that sort of thing. There's one more name, the most important name of all that we need to discuss here in great detail, of course. Taiwo Awoniyi, the striker from Nigeria, who showed up in when did he show up? Let's see. 2015. Showed up in 2015 and has, as far as I know, just never even made it to Melwood. I don't think there's any evidence that he's ever shown up.
I don't think he's ever been given a jersey.
No, it cracks me up. I don't actually feel the need to discuss him or Allen, but it cracks me up that if you go to the team's website and like the listing there, both of them are have no jersey number listed. Like even Ejaria has a jersey number. Even Chiravella has a jersey number. Now Allen and Awoniyi don't, and Allen is pictured in like a practice shirt from like 3 seasons ago. Like they haven't even bothered taking an updated photo of the man. Just kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah, I know Allen hasn't played for us because of work permit issues, and maybe that's also happening with Taiwo. But there's lots of rumors going around that we could get like 10, 15 million for Taiwo, and I would absolutely take that. I mean, he did pretty well in Belgium on loan this season. I think first half of the season had 10 goals. I didn't really keep up with the second half because Liverpool were kind of busy doing something. But, I mean, he did pretty well. So to have this guy who I don't know if he's ever actually been in the city to bring us in double-digit millions, I gladly take that. And thank you to him for doing that for us, and good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's got a bit more of a reputation because of his role with the Nigerian national team and youth national team. He and Kelechi Iheanacho really, I think, built great reputations for themselves through the Nigerian youth international teams. And I think that's where a lot of that comes from, probably. Well, that should wrap up another round of Keep or Sell. Interesting year in that we have very few sell them players that we've discussed here. I could maybe count it up on one hand, right? That we actually said, yeah, we should sell these guys. It's a mark of obviously a good team and a successful team, but it's a mark of a team that's not done yet. And I think that's the underlying story with Liverpool right now is that, okay, this season's wonderful. It's great. We'll always remember this year, especially that Champions League run, but we're not done yet. And this looks like the type of team that if we give them a little bit more cover, will really help out. But this looks like the type of team that doesn't even necessarily have a huge amount of needs in here. It's the type of team that we need to stick together and have even more success with. Exciting times. But gentlemen, thank you for playing Keep or Sell with me. Alex, any closing thoughts?
No, not really. I might drag one of y'all to record an episode about the summer tournaments at some point. I mean, talk about some players, talk about some teams, or I might just write it because y'all are going to say no. So
yeah, man, I'm pretty busy. I got a lot of stuff going on. Andrew Ainsworth, any closing thoughts? Round us out on this episode, please, sir.
I'd like to say thank you to all of the listeners of You'll Never Talk Alone podcast. I guess this is the wrap up for the amazing 2018-2019 season. We've done it. How many episodes did we have this season, Joseph? Would you guess? 40? 30. 30 episodes. Vitamin C, play us out.
So tired.